And of course, I'm joined by the Mendes to my Hakimi. It's Justin Peach.
Good day to you, Ryan.
Oh, Justin, you may struggle to believe it, but we're now just 4 weeks away from the season starting. 4 flipping weeks!
Yeah, the butterflies. They're present now. I am excited. It gets to this point in the summer where, firstly, it's too fucking hot. But it starts to build. The excitement starts to build because you know all the clubs go back to training. Your new shirts are getting released. This is like prime excitement, and then ultimately it's disappointment.
Yeah, as soon as the first ball is kicked, you start realising, it's going to be a long season. But yeah, I'm starting to get very excited as well. In a sign of how close the new season is, this is really the start of our countdown to the new season. So, of course, today we're each picking our top 5 signings of the summer so far. Next week, oh boy, is when we rank every manager in the Championship based on how much we would want them in charge of our club, which never fails to go down well. Everyone always agrees with us on that one. Oh, God, you're just going to have to log out of social media next week, I think, Justin. Then we'll be each picking a key player from each team. And then it's predictions time for us. A very exciting few weeks coming up, ladies and gents. The only place you need to be ahead of the new season. So make sure you stay tuned. The twiddling of the thumbs over the summer is done. We're now fully fixated on the season ahead. But today, we're picking out our top 5 signings of the summer so far across the Championship. It's very exciting stuff. How was it picking your top 5, Justin? Fairly straightforward?
It was, because this struck me actually. There hasn't been a lot of business that's been done, really. In the grand scheme,
there had been a lot of business in the last couple of weeks, but then I was going through it and I was like, there's not been as much as I thought, which made it a bit more difficult than I was expecting, actually.
I think it made it easy for me because the pool of players is just lower to choose from than you anticipate. But I think there are still several clubs who haven't made a transfer yet. Sheffield United haven't been hugely active. Borough haven't been active. Leicester, Sheffield Wednesday, both troubled clubs, not active at all. So there's still probably there's going to be a lot to change over the next few weeks. So I just think the lack of business, if you like, has been it made it easy for me but harder for you.
I was very close to having 4 of my top 5 made up of Birmingham City signings. I haven't done that in the end. Everyone else will be delighted to know. My top 2 I've had pretty much set in stone for the past week. The other 3 I've been moving around a fair bit up until last night, where I was like, I'm sticking with these now. I can't keep torturing myself like this. So I'm pretty happy with my final 5. But as I say, my top 2, I was very, very strong on them. So we may as well get into it very shortly, Justin. One quick note before we start. We don't tend to include new signings from abroad when we do this episode each season. The simple reason is we probably don't know much about them. Matthias Kvistgaarden might turn out to be an unbelievable striker for Norwich, but I can't put him in my top 5 because, unsurprisingly, I haven't seen him play. So we don't completely rule out a player from abroad, do we? If everything we've read is very exciting, then we might include them. But ultimately, it'd be hard to justify them if we've never seen them play. Just one little thing I wanted to point out before we get underway. Right, enough of that bollocks, Justin. Let's get into it. Justin, kick us off. Who is your 5th best signing of the summer across the Championship so far?
Probably the most surprising one as well, Carlton Morris to Derby. As you say, it's one that got me wetting myself with excitement, to be very, very descriptive. But it's hard not to like this signing. Carlton Morris, for anyone in the Championship, would have been a good signing, I think. Firstly, his attitude is exemplary, and that's displayed by his work rate and his leadership. But then you dig down into the numbers, especially at Championship level. 145 games in the second tier, 42 goals. He's averaging a goal every 3.5 games, which is a consistent fair return for a player who, for my money, was a late bloomer in his career. So, Carlton Morris, goal scorer, can do it with his feet. He's very good in the air. Physically, he's fantastic as well, and he's a leader too. So, great signing.
Yeah, as a Derby fan, I am so excited by this move. Simply put, there aren't many strikers better at this level in the air and holding up the ball than Carlton Morris is. And so for him to have a proven goal-scoring record alongside it is phenomenal. 20 goals in Luton's promotion season, double figures in the Premier League. We don't talk about last season. That's common knowledge here on this podcast now. But for Derby to get him is brilliant. I don't know what the fee is. It's undisclosed, but I'm guessing it's somewhere between $1 million and $2 million. And what Derby will be getting in return is excellent. He does turn 30 this coming season, but you'd imagine he's still got a few seasons in the tank. He's working under a terrific man manager in John Eustace. And I think the partnership of Morris and fellow new signing Patrick Agyemang, that will be giving defenders nightmares next season. So very, very exciting. I haven't got him in my top 5. I would say I'd have him 6th if we were doing a top 10. I just simply prefer others over him. But yeah, this is definitely the most exciting signing Derby have made of the summer, and may end up being the most exciting signing, including when Agyemang's over the line. But for you, Justin, this must be the most excited you've been over a new signing at Derby for some time as well, considering we all know how cynical you are when it comes to talking about the Rams.
Well, it's turned me into a believer, Ryan. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's how much of a turnaround it's been. I think, importantly, on last season, he scored 8 goals. I think a lot of people will go, "Oh, he didn't do very well last season." He didn't, but he was in a badly coached team. As a forward, you can't create on your own. And if you look at the numbers, and I wanted to justify it some way, so I did some research. His shots per 90 was way down. He averaged 1.79 last season, compared to 2.08 in the Premier League the season before that, and 3.05 in the season Luton were promoted. So he may have scored 8, but he wasn't getting the chances. So this is why him coming to Derby, I'm still very excited by him, despite the hangover potentially from last season. I don't think it's there.
No. I would hope not. I would hope that last season, as I say, just a write-off for everyone involved at Luton Town, and he, in particular, can start afresh next season and keep being what he has been for several seasons now at Championship level, and that is a flipping good striker. Let's go on to my 5th best signing of the summer. It's Harry Darling to Norwich City on a free transfer. Now, the way I look at it is pretty simple. Norwich have got themselves one of the best centre-backs on the ball in the Championship on a free transfer. He is going to be absolutely pivotal to how Liam Manning wants to play, who he's, of course, worked with before. And attacks will start with Harry Darling. His passing is brilliant. He's not afraid to carry the ball forwards either. He's a big goal threat as well. He was the joint top-scoring centre-back last season in the Championship. Another thing I like, he's a massive passion merchant. He's the kind of player who loves thumping his chest after a full-blooded challenge. And when it comes to the East Anglian derby, yeah, I think he'll be right amongst that kind of thing. And perhaps the biggest thing of all is he's still just 25. On a free transfer, Norwich are getting someone who could be starting for them for many years to come. Is he the best centre-back in the league in terms of actually defending? Maybe not. But he's still got time on his side to improve in that regard. And as far as centre-backs go, who are the perfect fit for Liam Manning's system, this is absolutely spot on in my eyes.
I like Harry Darling. He's a bit of everything in a defender. I think he's got that aggression. He's got that edge as well, as you mentioned with his derby antics. Very fun player to watch in the South Wales derby between Swansea and Cardiff. And like you said, the East Anglian derby, I think that'll be very, very interesting to keep a close eye on him. He's played under Liam Manning as well, obviously MK Dons, which is a huge bonus. But like you pointed out, he's a good ball player, and probably. Norwich. I think I said this before when he initially signed. Norwich have got a player that you're probably going to pay £2 or £3 million for, but they've gone on a free, and that's great value. And he's going to add what I think is a much needed trait in that back line, which is being comfortable on the ball, being able to build from the back, being able to progress through the thirds. Having Harry Darling at the base of that is going to be really, really helpful for Norwich, probably being a bit smoother in transition.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, darling. I think you are. I think you're probably underplaying it a bit with how much he would actually go for. I think you're looking more in £5 million plus region for someone like him when he's still only 25, got plenty of years in the tank. And that just goes to show why a free transfer, I think, is cracking business for Norwich, and it's someone that Liam Manning knows very well, of course, which is just a big thumbs up on my behalf. Let's go to your next best signing, Justin. This is who Justin Peach thinks is the 4th best signing of the summer in the Championship so far. I've
gone with Kaine Kesler-Hayden. Obviously went to Coventry for £3.5 million. I think, importantly, getting a player of Kesler-Hayden's quality at 22 for just $3.5 million, again, is incredible value. That's going to be a running theme for me. I'm very economical in my choices. He swept up the awards at Preston last season. He was a clear standout at Deep Dome. It was a very poor campaign. He showed a lot of versatility. Obviously, Paul Heckingbottom played him at left wing back originally before moving him over to the right. And that gives Frank Lampard a really good option. My original thinking was when Kesler-Hayden came in that's going to pave the way for Van Eerwyk to leave for big money. But that's not been the case yet. And obviously there's been speculation die down on Milan Van Eerwyk. So Kesler-Hayden could well be the left wing back and solve that issue. And then Coventry have two very, very good wing backs on either flank now. But when it comes to ability, he was amongst the highest ranking in the division for dribbling and taking opposition on. So going forward, he's a great asset. And in 1v1s, his pace really helps him as well.
Yeah, he was he was without a doubt the bright spark in a pretty torrid season for Preston North End. He stood out on so many occasions for them. I'm still not as strong on this one as you are, Justin. I still think it's a great signing, great value for money. I just simply have others ahead of this one. And I think that's fine. Because the reason I'm not as strong on it as you are is because in terms of how much it actually improves Coventry's promotion chances, I don't think it moves the dial that much. And it kind of goes back off the back of what you were just saying then. A big reason is I'm still not entirely sure how much he's needed. Yes, it improves squad depth, so it's great in that regard, but unless Van Ewijk leaves, how much is he going to play? Maybe he will play at left back. Maybe that's why they brought him in. I'm not sure, because he did play a fair few games at left back or left wing back for Preston last season, so maybe that's where he's going to slot in, and I wouldn't be against that if that did happen. But not a huge dial mover for me, Justin. Don't worry. Some of your other ones coming up, I've got bigger issues with than this one, so maybe save your energy, Justin. But that's what I'd say on that one.
I think when it comes to, again, I look at the value side of things with this one. That's a big one. £3.5 million. I say he's 22, be 23 in October, I think it is. Him sweeping up the awards at Preston, I think is a big thing. He won Players Player, he won Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year. So he was very, very good last season. So. And again, having him as that option on the right hand side or the left, and you are right to point out, is he really going to add much? But I think in terms of attacking output, he's a better option than Jay De Silva and Jake Bidwell, who are the current two left wing backs. And then obviously with Van Eerwyk, it gives them a bit more tactical flexibility as well. If they want to go to a sort of a 4-4-2 or 4-3-3, then one of Van Eerwyk could push forwards potentially, in case Hayden slotting it right back. There's a lot of options with bringing him in, which, yes, there are very, very stacked on fullbacks and wingbacks at CBS Arena, but having one of quality that Kesler-Hayden possesses, I think, is a huge, huge bonus.
This is my fourth best signing of the summer in the Championship. It is Kyōgo Furuhashi to Birmingham City in a deal worth up to £10 million. Now, as I said earlier, I'd stopped myself picking too many Birmingham signings, but this one had to be in there for me. Yes, up to £10 million is a lot of money, especially for a 30-year-old. But considering we're seeing a lot of Championship clubs spending big on strikers this summer, if you gave me £10 million and said, go out, get me a striker for a promotion battle, out of all the strikers who have come in from abroad this summer, this is the one who I would get. The others may very well end up scoring more goals than Furuhashi, but at this moment in time, he is the safest bet. And the reason for that is because he scored goals for fun at Celtic. Yes, it's Scotland. Always got to caveat it with that. But he also scored plenty of goals in the Champions League. And even still, to be averaging a goal every other game over a 3.5 year period is stunning consistency. It's a hell of a lot easier said than done, scoring 85 goals over 3.5 seasons, even if it is in Scotland. And the other thing is, he was being linked with Man City literally a year ago. Still blows my mind that. And now he's at a newly promoted side to the Championship. It's balmy. And so, for me, this signing symbolises that Birmingham mean business this coming season. This is them slapping them on the table, saying this is how big mine is. Do you see what I mean, Justin?
I wish I didn't see what you mean. Very vivid. I think it's an incredible signing, I really do. But the reason why I didn't put Furuhashi in my top 5 is because a championship club spending £10 million, up to £10 million, on a 30-year-old doesn't sit massively well with me. Obviously, if he delivers 25 goals and they get promoted, he's repaid that price tag. But the money spent on him, it just puts me off a touch. It's just one of those things that I look at and go, he's got to deliver. He really has got to deliver.
Well, of course he has. When you're spending that much money, you've got to deliver. But as I say, when he's got the goal-scoring record that he has done, that's what has really appealed to me here. And that's why I think Birmingham, yes, it's a lot of money, but if you know what you're getting with it, then it's absolutely worth the money, especially if it means they're going to be very much in the conversation for promotion next season, which I think this is the kind of signing that definitely puts them on that track. Justin, we'll take a quick break. After that, we'll get on to our top 3s for the best signings of the summer so far in the Championship. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast. Here we are picking out our best signings of the summer so far across the Champo. And we're now on to each of our top 3s. Justin Peach, kick us off. Who is your third best signing of the summer so far?
I've gone with Hector Kyprianou to Watford from Peterborough on a free transfer. Watford have been after Kyprianou for about 3 transfer windows. But reading up on it, it's felt like they've been really, really driving to sign him. So more for Peterborough for being so stubborn, because to get him on a free, I think is excellent business from Watford's perspective, and not something you really come to expect from the Hornets, especially in recent years. But he's a brilliant box-to-box midfielder who's going to inject a lot of energy and tenacity into that Watford midfield. Physically, he marries up as well, but he's got a really good technical profile. He's a good size. I think he's just short of 6'3", 6'4". I'm trying to do the centimetre to feet transition in my head, but it's better we don't. But he's a good size, and physically, for the defensive side of the game, he makes really intelligent runs off the ball, and I'm really excited about this one. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. There's the obvious caveat with Watford changing managers potentially, and that could impact development of certain individuals, but Kyprianou in the Championship I think is a very, very good thing.
Yeah, I will admit, Justin, I was a bit surprised when I saw this one in your top 5. I think Kyprianou's a good player, and at 24 on a free transfer, it's good value in the long term. As far as his underlying data goes, he wasn't stunning last season in League One. It wasn't screaming, how on earth is this guy not playing in the Championship? As far as sort of ball-winning midfielders go, he was in the top 5 in League One, but it wasn't, Christ alive, he's good. So I think Watford have got themselves someone who was a top-end ball-winning midfielder in League One. On a free transfer with his age, it makes sense. But third best signing of the summer, definitely not for me.
I think Kyprianou plays a role in midfield that the underlying data will not do a lot of justice to him, because he's an all-round package. And you mentioned his ball-winning ability there. That's a very positive thing. And he's stepping into the Championship, which I think will get more out of him. With his technical side, he's not going to be a goal scorer, because he brings a lot more to the midfield than...
Like what?
Like I said, it's his technical profile, his intelligent running off the ball. These are things that open space for opposition players, for technical players. It allows quality attacking players to really, really thrive, like Kwame Poku, for example. Another thing as well, Peterborough were shit last season. They were really, really bad. So again, that's going to reflect on the data side of things as well.
I think you're talking utter bollocks. As I say, statistically, purely based on the underlying data, he did not stand out at all. But I think he's a good age, and on a free transfer, he could make the step up to the Championship, and in the long term may end up being a good signing for Watford. But nothing there says to me that he has got to be brought in for a Championship club. And that's why third best signing of the summer. That's the big thing here. I can't get my head around that. So, yeah, considering what you've put this signing ahead of in terms of other signings, that's really what has confused me with this one, Justin.
It's a free transfer. And he's at an age now he's going to develop and going to bring a profit to Watford should he develop the way these players do. And as I say, he's got everything you need in a midfielder.
Free transfers this summer though, Justin.
So give me two of the free transfers that you'd have put ahead of Kyprianou.
Harry Darling.
Yeah, a very good option. And again, putting him in my top 5 ahead of Kyprianou, I wanted a midfielder in there. I wanted a midfielder in there who is stepping up from League One, who has developed really well. And as I say, Watford have been after him for 3 transfer windows. The last bid was rejected in January for £2.5 million. So that tells you how highly Watford rate him. So again, there's a player there who's rated very, very highly.
I get, in terms of free transfer, age, plenty of room to develop. But third best signing of the summer, that's a stretch. We've been going on about this for too long, so I'll give you the final word, Justin.
I like Kyprianou. I've already made it very, very clear. I think the points that I've made about his physicality is something that not a lot of midfielders have, and that's going to bode very, very well in the Championship.
Let's go to my third best signing of the summer. It is Thomas Kaminski to Charlton Athletic for £1 million. Now, I've always been a Thomas Kaminski fan. When he was at Blackburn, he was, for the most part, one of the best at this level. And then, just a couple of years ago, Luton signed him with the intention of him playing week in, week out for them in the Premier League. And he did really well. We don't talk about last season when it comes to Luton players. We know that by now. No one there had a good season. But you're getting one of the safest pair of hands in the division, a regular in the Belgium squad, very experienced, but still has plenty of miles in the tank, and a newly promoted side have got him for £1 million. I think it's cracking value, particularly for the level that Charlton are currently at. And they need a great keeper because he's more than likely going to be very busy this coming season. I think it's a very smart signing.
Yep, it's a coup. Because at 32, goalkeepers are in their peak years. He was exceptional last season. I think if he wasn't around for Luton and there was a goalkeeper who was probably a little bit average, Luton would have been relegated long before the final day. Had it not been for Kaminski and some of the saves he was making, he was called upon a lot. So that goes to show, he's capable of winning points for a team who are battling at the wrong end of the table, which you are going to put Charlton when we make our predictions potentially, but again for the price is good. He's been around the Belgian national setup as well, so there's a player there who's been in around a very, very good national team. So there are a lot of green flags with this one.
Green flags. I'm not sure that's actually a phrase.
I generally thought it was a phrase.
Having red flags is definitely a bad thing, but if you've got green flags, then I'm guessing that's the opposite in this case. So that goes to show Justin likes it. Do you know what vibes I'm getting from this, Justin? I'm getting similar vibes to when Bartosz Białkowski went to Charlton's dear friends down at Millwall. An experienced but underrated keeper, picked up on the cheap, was brilliant for 3 seasons, and then helped them establish themselves back in the league and became a massive fan favourite. I think old Thomas can do the same at the Valley.
It's a really good comparison because, again, goalkeepers will peak at different times in their careers. Białkowski was one of them because I remember him at Southampton back in the mid-2000s being very average, very okay. And then obviously went to Ipswich later on in his career and then Millwall. But another one you can mention is Dimi Konstantopoulos, who went to Borough as well, who again peaked very late in his career and was a very, very exceptional goalkeeper. So, like I said, I think that really does magnify the point that being 32, you don't write goalkeepers off. No, definitely not. He's basically in the prime years, really, as far as goalkeeper standards go, isn't he? So, yeah, I think he could be a very, very shrewd bit of business for the Addicts. Let's go to Justin's second best signing of the summer. Who you got, Peachy? I've gone with Nat Phillips to West Brom for £1 million. I am really high on some of West Brom signings right now. They're building a really good physical profile in the squad with Nat Phillips, with Hegebo as well, Isaac Price with the engine room last season. Tamar Bainey came in too, who was signed last season. But I think Phillips at £1 million plus add-ons is a steal. It really is. There's a player there who's been knocking on the door of top flight football for years. Just hasn't been trusted enough. Maybe it's his ability with his feet. that's held him back. But defensively, he's a monster. Aerially, he was amongst the best in the division last season. His reading of the game when it comes to anticipating clearances and shots from opposition is up there too. And incredibly, at age 27, he made the most starts in a single season in his career, just last season, obviously on loan at Derby. But everywhere he's been on loan, bar Celtic, he's had a huge impact. Promoted with Bournemouth in 2022, mid-table with Cardiff in 2024, which I think is actually a big achievement. And then obviously keeping Derby in the Championship last season. So Nat Phillips, senior defender, £1 million. He's going to be a huge player for West Brom next season.
I'm sorry, Justin. This is another one I find quite puzzling as well. I obviously saw Nat Phillips a lot last season. One thing you neglected to mention is he spent a lot of the first half of the season at Derby on the bench. He was the third choice centre-back behind Erin Cashin and Curtis Nelson for virtually the entirety of the first half of the season. And when he came in, he was very solid, don't get me wrong. Defensively, he's a good centre-half at Championship level, and £1 million is very solid business. Second best transfer of the summer. A bit of a stretch, though. I'm not as perplexed over this one as Kyprianou. Kyprianou wouldn't even get in my top 20, I don't think. Nat Phillips probably would be. Top 5, though, no chance.
I'm surprised by that. I think, firstly, using him being on the bench for most of the first half of the season, again, not entirely true, but using that as a variable to measure whether or not he's a good player, I think is wildly wild, because Paul Warne managed that team in that first half, and we know tactically he wasn't up to it. And we saw Nat Phillips coming into the middle of a back three under John Eustace, and I think he's a key reason as to why Derby stayed up. Scored a decisive goal against Hull to keep them in the division, but statistically he holds up. He holds up very well. You want to rubbish Kyprianou stats, but Nat Phillips, he comes up very, very good. Smelling of roses, in fact. In terms of how he defends. I am surprised that you're not very high on Nat Phillips, considering how much of an impact he had at Derby last season, especially in the second half. But there's a player there, as I say, he was promoted with Bournemouth. He was a first choice in the second half of the season under Scott Parker after arriving on loan in January. Became first choice for Cardiff after again arriving on loan midway through the season, and became first choice in the second half of last season. He is a player who's taken a while to develop, but now he's got a home, I think he's going to excel.
That's fair. As I say, I'm not as against this one as one of your other picks. I just don't look at Nat Phillips and think, yeah, massive, brilliant signing for West Brom. I think £1 million is good value, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I wouldn't rate it as my second best transfer of the summer, my lord. I think I've just got others ahead of him, put it as simply as that. We'll get on to maybe some of them in a bit who you haven't included for whatever reason. Let's go to my second best signing of the summer. It is Kwame Poku to QPR, who was a free agent but has cost QPR £900,000 in compensation. As I said at the top of the show, my top two signings have been set in stone for the past week. That's because they're without a doubt the two standout moves for me so far. And this one gets me very excited. Kwame Poku was the standout winger in League One last season. 12 goals, 8 assists, despite missing half the season. If he played every game last season and continued to get goal contributions at the rate he did, you're looking at around 35 goals and assists. Of course, that is completely hypothetical, but shows that he is a thrilling player when he is fit. Loves running at defenders. Only 24, and QPR have got him for less than £1 million. If he wasn't out of contract, you'd have been looking at somewhere between 5 and 10 million, I think, at least. And QPR fought off a lot of competition to get him, understandably, at that price. And now they've got him, it's properly exciting. I think an attacking trio of Poku, Karamoko Dembele and Elias Chair. That has the potential to be absolutely thrilling. And look, I've been banging the drum of QPR being a dark horse in recent weeks. This signing is a big reason why. Justin, we'll move swiftly on to your top signing of the summer because I think you might like this move as well.
Yeah, it's Kwame Poku, no less. Finally something to maybe agree on. I mean, everything you've said is bang on. One thing that's worth pointing out is Peterborough's ability to negotiate is interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of players have started to run down the contracts, and they end up going for a fraction of the sums that they could possibly go for. You mentioned Poku potentially £5-10 million. 900,000 in compensation is incredible move for QPR, and the type of player as well has had clubs queuing for him, which is absurd. But I think all the interest in him is probably somewhat overshrouded just how good he has been and how good he can be. He's a versatile player. He can play as a second striker or on either wing. His goal assist return at Peterborough was in a side that, as I alluded to, Kyprianou was playing very poorly and were not dominating the ball, meaning Poku had to work harder in getting into good positions in the final third. So there's a quality player there who's incredibly intelligent, and he's got the numbers to back it up as well.
Yeah, very, very exciting stuff, and plenty of room to grow as well, isn't there? Because he's still very much in the early stages of his career. The main concern I have is injuries. He's yet to start more than 35 games in a season, but in the long term, he's surely only going to get better and better, Justin, and when he is fit, he'll be absolutely lethal. So if he can stave off those injuries, then we could be talking about someone who QPR could sell on for, 8 figures in the future, and maybe even see him in the Premier League. I see absolutely no reason why he can't get to that level, Justin.
Yeah, I agree. And with Julien Stephans as well as head coach, there's a manager there who's got a very good track record of developing players in France. And, Poku's at a great age, so is Dembele.
Great age.
Yep. So there's a lot of potential there, and that's why I'm very, very excited. Very, very excited to see how they measure up on the first day of the season. If they're going to be as exciting as they could potentially be. If they're not, Christ, I don't know what I'd do. So much potential in this attack now with Poku in there. This could be signing the season. It could be. But like you said, injuries are a thing to watch out for.
Yeah, it definitely, absolutely could be signing of the season. I'm getting similar vibes to this, when Morgan Whittaker went to Plymouth a couple of seasons ago. Yeah. Now, in hindsight, saying that now, it doesn't look that exciting. But at the time, you were like, that just seems dirt cheap, getting him at that price. And Poku is giving me that same kind of energy, because getting him for less than £1 million is just, crikey, great stuff. And as we say, they had to fight off a lot of competition to get him, but it could be sublime, absolutely sublime. Let's go to my signing of the summer so far in the Championship. I've gone with Tommy Doyle to Birmingham City on loan. Now, it would take a lot for me usually to choose a loan deal as the signing of the summer so far, but this is significant for me. I think this is Birmingham City, a newly promoted team, getting a Premier League quality player. Tommy Doyle is a wonderful talent, a superb passer of the ball. He gives them a bit of star quality in midfield that a lot of Championship clubs seriously struggle for. And in terms of how Birmingham will play, dominating the ball, he will flourish in that system and really make them tick. I think he will be a difference maker for Birmingham. That's the thing that really differentiates this one from all the others in my eyes as the best move of the summer so far for me. Birmingham are coming up with a lot of very good players from League One, but Tommy Doyle is a level above. He should be playing in the Premier League. It's not like he's not playing for Wolves because he's not good enough at that level. He's just got others ahead of him. So Birmingham have got someone here who significantly swings them in terms of being a genuine promotion contender this season. I think it's such a dial mover in that regard. Yes, it's a loan, but if Birmingham do go up again, then that's more valuable than any bargain transfer. That's why this is my signing of the summer so far.
You like the signing in lights, don't you? That's what it is.
The what?
The signing in lights, the spectacular transfers, if you like.
What does that mean? That's the signing in lights.
You're a magpie for big signings in the Championship.
What are you talking about? What the hell does signing in lights mean?
Your blinkers are on. I agree that Tommy Doyle is a very good signing. He's capable of a spectacular goal, and I think he's probably more versatile in the roles he can play in midfield than many might give him credit for. He's creative. He's a tidy passer. He's very good at retaining possession. Probably just hasn't been given the chance to flourish, and I think stepping down in the Championship should hopefully provide him with that chance. The reason why I left him out is because it starts. He's only been a regular starter once at Cardiff in 2022. Sheffield United did start games, but wasn't trusted wholly, hence the 12 appearances from the bench. But he's still young. He's still got time and room to grow. So this one for me is more of intrigue. I think it's a very good signing, but it's intrigue to see how he develops and fits into what Birmingham want to do. Under Chris Davis as well, who's going to want to play possession ball. This could be a very, very good signing.
I think this is exactly the opportunity he needs. He did start a fair few games for Sheffield United when they got promoted a few years ago. And he did start 11 games for Wolves a couple of seasons ago as well in the Premier League. So he's definitely capable at that level. But as I say, I think it's more just a case that there are better players ahead of him, and he needs, at this stage in his career, regular football somewhere, and he's going to get that at Birmingham, and it could really see him take his game to the next level. It reminds me a bit of, I don't know if it's just because he's coming on loan from Wolves, but it reminds me a bit of Morgan Gibbs-White in the way that he just finally got given the chance to play week in, week out, and turned out to be the absolute baller that we all knew he was. This was at Sheffield United, by the way, ironically. A lot of crossovers here, but this, I think, could be a sublime. I do think it will be a sublime move, because everything I've seen of Tommy Doyle, he is such a phenomenal player, and at this age, he's going to be 24 in a few months. He shouldn't be playing in the Championship. He should be playing week in, week out in the Premier League. And it still puzzles me as to why he's not. But this is just the reality of the situation, and Birmingham are hopefully going to benefit from that, Justin.
Yeah, that's it. They are going to benefit, because obviously he's not progressed as he would have liked, and I think that's it. That's a big thing. There are players ahead of him. Wolves were in a relegation battle. I don't think that particularly helped his situation. Again, changing managers, changing systems and style of play, that's going to impact things as well. So there's a lot working against Tommy Doyle. Sometimes a refresh is needed for these players, and Doyle's one of them. I think coming from Man City as well, prior to moving to Wolves, there's a lot of players at the academy probably spent more time there than they needed to, who needed to go out and get loans, and they didn't, and that's ultimately, that can impact growth and development, as we're seeing with several players who've left and flourished. So I think Tommy Doyle could be one of those. Again, it's just, can he take the opportunity and run with it? Because he's not yet done it in his career. That's the only thing that's holding me back.
And this is hopefully the chance that he's going to have, Justin, because he's been crying out for that chance, and hopefully this will be it. I mean, you think back to when he was at Sheffield United before, Justin. If my memory serves me correctly, I think he stood out more than James McAtee did when he was at a Sheffield United, unless I'm getting them mixed up, because they're quite interchangeable in my mind at that time, because they both came on loan from Man City and both midfielders. And we all know how highly rated James McAtee is now, although Tommy Doyle is a bit older. But I think this could be a serious move for the Blues. Justin, we're going to do a few honourable mentions very quickly, just to tick off anyone who didn't make it into our respective top fives. I've got down Carlton Morris. As I said, he probably was sixth in my bigger list, if we want to go into that. Who else stood out for you?
I've gone with Sonny Carey. The reason why a lot of people raise their eyebrows, because he's gone to Charlton on a free transfer, and he was at Blackpool last season. Didn't do particularly great in the first half of last season, but he scored 8 goals in 19 starts in the second half of last season. There's a lot of clubs interested in him, so I'm very, very interested in to see how he takes to the Championship, and I think Charlton have got a good player, which is why I think, again, Charlton have had a very good transfer window, probably one of the better transfer windows in the Championship so far.
Yeah, I was hoping for a shorter explanation than that, Justin. Come on now. Some of the other ones I wanted to give a shout for is Ethan Galbraith at Swansea. I think value for money wise, he could turn out to be a cracking player. Amadou Mbenge, that was very close to being in my top five at QPR. Joining on a free from Reading, he he was a frightening player for Reading last season. I think could be a really under the radar signing for Rangers. Anyone else you wanted to give a shout for, Justin?
Maxim Talavirov is another one. Cameron Burgess, I think, because he was done so early in the transfer window or so early on in the summer.
Justin, please provide context on where these players have gone to.
Cameron Burgess to Swansea on a free, which again I think Harry Darling leaving, but Burgess coming in straight away is probably the Darling departure is not felt as heavy.
Talavirov has gone to Stoke as well. Thank you, Justin, for the context. We got there eventually. I wanted to give a shout for Phil Newman, who a lot of people probably aren't across, but he actually signed kind of those pre-contract agreements that you have when a player's abroad 6 months prior for Birmingham City. He's a very highly rated defender who's been playing in the second tier of Germany for way too long. Him and Christoph Clara at the back for Birmingham next season could be too serious. So there could be an absolute wall for Birmingham. So he's the one I wanted to give a shout out, who a lot of people probably aren't that aware of. Anyone else for you, Justin?
Fiskardin to Norwich. I think a player who's scored so many goals in Denmark, and he's come for big money. I really want to see do well. It's just, can he adapt? Is Norwich's business that good? Who knows? But yeah, Fiskardin, if he really does take off, he can score a hell of a lot of goals.
Stunned you didn't put Suba Thomas in your top 5, considering how much you've gone on about that signing in the past few weeks. Clearly don't rate it as highly as you are making out, though, Justin.
Done so early, I've forgotten about it, but why not? Fuck Kwame Poku off, put in Suba Thomas. There you go.
Flipping egg. There we go, ladies and gents. This has been our top 5 signings of the summer so far. In the Championship, of course, still a long way to go in the window, and the Championship being the Championship, the signings usually crank up with a week to go. So I'm sure there'll be plenty more bits of business that happen, and we'll do a proper retrospective of the summer window once it finally closes. But until then, we've actually got actual football to worry about, haven't we? Because we've got 4 weeks to go, ladies and gents. As I said at the top of the show, our next episode will be us ranking the managers in the Championship based on how much we would like them at our club. Oh my God. It's not going to be nice, Justin.
It's always fun.
It's a bit of fun, guys. Don't get too worked up about it, even though you definitely will do.